post-war success stories. The Hawker Fury was designed to an RAF requirement for a light Tempest. Some of you will have heard of the Tempest, another really impressive aircraft. The Tempest was, of course, very effective as a ground attack aircraft, but a lighter aircraft they figured would make it even better as a fighter. And the Fury was built in the same general arrangement as the Hawker Tempest, but with a reduced wingspan and with the Tempest 2's Bristol Centaurus engine, first flying in 1946. And what a massive, fantastic growl that is. I mean, you really, when you're inside this, you really do feel you're handling a pretty big aircraft. Sadly, as far as the Air Force is concerned, they decided they wouldn't go ahead with increasing the procurement of this aircraft because they were moving, of course, into the first generation jet age. But it really took off literally with the Royal Navy, with the operation of jets, actually still something of an unknown quantity for the Royal Navy. So the sea version of the Fury becoming hugely successful as far as they're concerned. So this particular aircraft, a Hawker Fury Mark II, very much referred to as an ISS. Now, it's not the International Space Station. It is an Iraqi single seat because this was built for the Iraqi Air Force as part of a contract for 60 aircraft. This one was particularly pertinent. It was after their various contracts. It went through so many different hands, and of course it's very much the case with so many of these vintage aircraft. It was eventually bought by a chap in Florida, then passed to somebody in Texas before being rebuilt into an airworthy condition and coming back to UK. It reached our shores back in 1991. Once again went through various refurbishments and markings. And today's in the hands of Andy Durston, an absolutely consummate display pilot, massive amount of experience. And he's really been an aviation nut from a very young age. He got himself an RAF flying scholarship at Manston and then completed his own private pilot's license at the age of 17. He was gliding from Leon Solent at 19 and then spent a good while flying tailwheel aircraft, as you see here today, and also starting towing gliders as well. There's a really distinctive tone and style to these big warbirds. Absolutely superb. You'll notice the complete difference. You're used to listening to Merlins, but it's got an altogether different sound, being a pretty massive machine altogether. The Centaurus, this is the Mark 18 engine here. It's got a maximum speed of up around several hundred miles an hour, obviously. Good range, 500 miles. And also able, fairly punchy in terms of what it can produce. 420mm Hispano Mark 5 autocannons would have been fitted, or rockets, 12 by 3 inch, 76.2 of course, or an accumulation of bombs up to 2,000 pounds worth. Andy putting it through a very skillful and gentle maneuvers. Of course, they're working very carefully not to overstress these aircraft in any way whatsoever, to keep them going for future years. It was imported back into UK by new owners, Anglia Aircraft Restorations, and restored again and refurbished and repainted by a really successful outfit up at Sidewell Air Leasing Limited, and now in the colours of Hawker's Sea Fury prototypes, coded Sierra Romeo 661, which was actually a modified Fury Mark II with a tailhook fitted, but without the folding wings included on subsequent production of Sea Furies themselves. The Centaurus 18-cylinder radial, that's double what I'm used to flying, certainly. It's supercharged to produce an amazing 2,400 horsepower. And with that range I mentioned early on, a total fuel load of around 183 gallons, I should say, giving about 2 hours endurance, and can cruise at modest weights at about 230 knots. So you tend to display these at lighter weights, and of course various other, depending on the sorts of other aircraft. He's owned shares in the Yak-52 and a Pitts in the past, and has flown a huge range of different aircraft, and displayed here on many other occasions. With the Royal Navy, the Hawker Fury in the Sea Fury configuration went on to achieve.
So Emma is usually our formation wing walker. She has probably the hardest job on the team. She's got to figure out all the timings usually. So normally I lead the display and I sort of call the shots. And I have the very easy job of doing whatever I want, but she has the very difficult job of doing also doing whatever I want. And watching someone do it next to you, upside down at 160 miles an hour, is pretty amazing.
It is indeed. They are the magnificent boys and girls in their flying machines, and here they are, the Aerosuperbatics wing walkers, with that wonderful rasping engine and of course the beautiful smokes trail as well. That smoke, once again, all environmentally friendly stuff. And I believe, I thought she was just going to move around already, but fantastic stuff. They would go uppity up, they go down here and down, and they'll have a great time enjoying this. And what do you think is going through her mind now then, Kirsten?
I think that she is probably looking down on everybody and asking that you all wave to her, because we can actually see you guys waving, and it does make a huge difference.
Oh, but she's just gone upside down. I don't believe it.
Yeah, so we would be pulling G, obviously, while we're diving, and it does affect us on the wing. It makes us a lot harder for us to move. While we're on top of the wing, we do lots of handstands, and we have a very special rig, so we can spin all the way around, which is very, very fun, but it is hard when you are pulling G.
I bet it is, and I mean, it's quite nerve-wracking at times as well, and you get a bit of drizzle in there as well, and it can all go rather squidgy. But now when you're turning around the corner there, normally you'd be in formation, of course, how do you construct your routine?
So we have absolutely no communication with each other other than hand signals. So everything we do is like a fantastically difficult game of charades. We sort of organize it all on the ground prior to us displaying. So we do know what we are going to be doing, but communicating up there is quite hilarious sometimes.
It is indeed. And now tell me, I'm always saying how agile and accomplished you are as gymnasts and trapeze artists and things like that. But what's it? I mean, is it competitive? Is it hard work to get into the team in the first place?
So we all have very specialist backgrounds. So Emma up here used to be a dancer. I used to be a trapeze artist with a circus. I've flown with gymnasts, so we all have that kind of background in strength and flexibility. So you do have to have those skills to be a professional wing walker. But if you do want to come wing walking yourself, we don't require any experience, and you can have a go on this very aircraft at our lovely private airfield. So if you do fancy giving it a go, our website is gowingwalking.com, and we will strap you on top of the wing and take you for the ride of your life.
Fantastic. Well, I'm up for that. I don't know about everybody else. I think we should all go and do that. It's an Eastbourne day out in Rencombe in Gloucestershire.
Yes.
It's a really, really lovely airfield. So this is the bumpity-uppity tumps, and of course when you pull up in the aircraft the blood goes down to your feet, and when you go over the top it all rushes up to your head. This must be a bit wobbly to be on top there.
This is one of my favourite parts of the show. It's amazing when you're completely weightless and you're up there. It's just wonderful.
Gosh, what an experience. Absolutely terrific. Well, let's all sign up for that as well. Now, the whole story really goes back to the end of the First World War. A lot of air crew were sort of, bumping their gums a bit. They didn't have jobs to go to. There were a lot of spare aircraft. So the whole art of barnstorming, as we refer to it, began with an extraordinary guy called Ormer Locklear. And he was the guy that was renowned for actually getting out of the aircraft to fix things while he was actually flying. Hey, here's a good chance. They're coming straight at us, and look at the position that Emma, extraordinary stuff, isn't it? A beautiful aircraft. Look at the colour scheme. Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes,
wonderful.
We should have a new aircraft that we showcase soon. We've been painting that vigorously, and it's going to be a lovely shade of red.
Right, marvellous. Well, I look forward to seeing that one. Hopefully in the next few days we'll see how that comes off. But of course, Ormer Locklear got together with another extraordinary lady called Ethel Dare. Now there's a surname that we need to remember. Hey, good chance to give him a wave here. He's just having a little look down there. And we'll just see what Emma gets up to next. So they got together. Sadly, Ormer came a bit of a cropper in one of his flying displays, but Ethel went on, and there it all began. And these aircraft, Stearmans, developed in the late 20s, early 30s to become part of the training requirement for the United States aircrew academies, and are really, really delightful. I think they encompass all the romance and just imagination about flying. It's truly inspirational. Is that what attracted you to doing this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think I fell in love with the job. I fell in love with flying, and I am always amazed by the wonder of these beautiful machines.
Now, I'm pretty sure she's got out of the harness. It is on the wing, is that right?
Yes, correct. So we call this move the goose. Please do wave. She can see you, and she might even wave back to you if you're lucky. This move, there you go, she's waving. It's pretty hard fighting against the wind, and she's holding on, and she's going to move back into what we call the reverse goose now. So she's going to be transferring to the back of the top wing, and she's going to come round, and she'll be in a waving position shortly. She is strapped on by a waist harness at this point, with a carabiner attaching her to the wing, but that's about it.
Well, that's pretty good going. Now, of course, the pilot's also working hard. They train hard doing this sort of work as well. But they can't actually communicate. You're not wearing headsets. So it's all done by sort of intuition, isn't it?
Yes. So Dave flying today is my usual pilot. In this position, we can actually hold hands with each other, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we just communicate with hand signals. We've all got a good idea of what's going on, really.
Oh, absolutely superb. Come on, boys and girls, get your hands in the air. Whatever you got, God, look at that. Fantastic. I think this is true courage and bravery, actually. I don't know that many of us would be rushing to do that. And what a glorious sound. That lovely, lovely big Pratt & Whitney engine there, 450 horsepower. And when he puts all the levers forward and you go to full power, it's almost supersonic. Do you feel that power on the wing?
Oh, definitely. And it's such a treat for us. When we're at home, we have to be a little bit quiet because of the neighbours, but we can really let it rip here in Eastbourne. So it's a real treat.
Brilliant. We are definitely being treated here. That's fantastic news. Well, look, final fly past now. What can we expect from Emma?
Emma will be
If you see now, the Spitfire breaks away to commence his positioning for its own solo display, today flown by Flight Lieutenant Mark Priest, MBE. The Lancaster will continue its right-hand turn just around 170 knots, pulling around looking iconic in the sunshine, run down the crowd line, and then in front of you across the two. Today they're flying 6 Spitfires, 2 Hurricanes, a Dakota and a Lancaster. And as you can imagine, a small cadre of dedicated engineers is kept very busy looking after the 5 different aircraft types and several different marks. These World War II aircraft are preserved in flying condition as a living tribute to those who served the country. And the Spitfire commences flying display in clear blue sky. As the Spitfire displays, just remember that yesterday was noted in history as the longest day in the Battle of Britain, when there would have been aerial combat in the skies above you as going on now. The Spitfire today, P7350, was built in 1940. She was the 14th of 11,939 Spitfires constructed at the Castle Bromwich Shadow Factory. She's the only airworthy Spitfire from the Battle of Britain and a much admired survivor, put into storage in 1944 until the making of the iconic movie Battle of Britain saw her re-emerge from 20 years of dormancy, and she was selected to fly in the film. High-speed pass. P7 currently represents 54 Squadron Spitfire Mark 1, Romeo 6895, Kilo Lima Bravo, Kiwi 3, the personal aircraft of New Zealander Al Deer from the 10th of July 1940, the official start of the Battle of Britain, until the 31st of August, when after being bombed on takeoff from Hornchurch, Al Deer crashed upside down. He survived, but sadly Kiwi 3 didn't, and the aircraft is painted to commemorate that aircraft. Norman operated from RAF Coningsby. Today the aircraft for the rest of the weekend are based out of Southend Airport.
And perfectly done. And the other great synergy, of course, with having the BBMF based at Coningsby is that actually there's a lot of overlap in the pilot experience between both the Typhoon and, of course, the BBMF fighters, isn't there?
Absolutely. And our present boss, OC BBMF, is a Typhoon pilot and was a Typhoon instructor until he's taken over full-time at latter end of last year for the next 3 years as OC BBMF. You can see now that the Typhoon has moved line astern with a Spitfire, and believe me, life of a fighter pilot is not all good fun when you're working as hard as these guys are at the moment. An awesome view in the sky.
Yeah, it is a real juxtaposition having such heritage, and of course, you know, the style of land, the speed, the design of the Spitfire, absolutely iconic, set against, you know, the modern platform, which is just bristling with high technology.
Flight Lieutenant Priest in the Spitfire and Flight Lieutenant Adam O'Hare in the
And there is the shade of noise to follow when this little sequence is complete, but a great photo op coming up now, because as they come in towards you, it'll be time for their break, and certainly if you're anywhere near crowd centre at the moment, I think a really, really good opportunity for a classic photo shoot. I think we're going for a full circle this time, and then the break coming up afterwards. But again, you know, just think about the speed ranges of these different aircraft. You know, one capable of Mach 2, the other one really going above about 400 miles an hour on a good day. So they're matching somewhere in the middle of the margins, the lower speed end of the Typhoon with the higher speed end of the Spitfire.
So this is the moment now they're positioned to come in straight at the crowd line across by the RNLI lifeboat in front, and when they split with a Typhoon going right as you look at it and the Spit going left, according to my brief, and this is the most amazing photo opportunity. Clear sky, slightly...
Got Callum alongside me, who just plucked out of the RF Village, who's going to try and get a word in now and again.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Talk when the aircraft's away from you, shut up when it's near you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute pleasure to be here, especially on a Friday, because it is a Foon Friday. So as we know, Flight Lieutenant Adam Paddy O'Hare is going to be showing you the full capabilities and the agileness of this aircraft. So as he comes towards, I'm going to say nice and quiet, you'll be able to hear the power of the aircraft. So as you can see there, Paddy has now initiated the reheat in the engine, so that's now burning half a tonne of fuel a minute in both each engine, and we're also producing 20,000 pounds of thrust per engine, so we're over 40,000 pounds of plus. As he comes past now, he's going to probably push the aircraft straight up to its full speed, and when he comes into a brake, he'll be pulling 9 Gs, that's 9 times the force of gravity.
I don't know about you, that looked very much like an absolutely ear-splitting -3 negative push round turn to me, and that is quite something, isn't it, Callum?
It is quite something. One of the questions we often get asked is there actually smoke on the aircraft? Now that's not actually smoke, it is fuel that comes out the vent pack of the aircraft. So we use the engines to pressurise the fuel system. However, one of the counter problems with that is when the aircraft goes inverted and pushes -3 G, we also have fuel coming out of the edge of the fin.
Well, there you go, you heard it from the expert here. Here he goes now in a multiple roll pass all the way down left to right, and he's in the middle of a washing machine right now. And there we go with another really quite potentially painful -G climb up there as he pushes against himself. And of course this cockpit, they're stressed up to, the airplane's very strong, but the pilot's about 9 G?
Yeah, the aircraft's actually limited 9 G itself, so the aircraft could probably pull itself to bits, to be quite honest with you, but the aircraft is actually limited electronically to 9 G.
Okay.
So the pilot can push it through whatever range he wants, but it will not let him push past 9 G.
And he's got a little bit of help on board with that digital voice, hasn't he?
He has got a little bit of help. Naganora will be definitely going on at him and be telling him to pull up. I suppose a good thing about Naganora, she never tells him to slow down, so he always goes as fast as he can.
I've not heard the nagging. I heard Barking Betty was the one I first heard, but now it's Nagging Nora, and that is, of course, the digital assistant on board that doesn't just stops him doing anything ridiculous with the aircraft, and it is very, very clever system indeed. In fact, it's quite a comfortable cockpit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite a comfortable cockpit. I mean, I wouldn't want to be sat in it for very long.
No.
And as an engineer, you know, we have to ground run these aircraft, you know, and as Paddy's shown now, he's now been showing you the very high, agile side of the aircraft. Now he's fighting the aircraft and now keep it in the air. He's going nice and slow, probably about 150 knots. Rolls off and now he's going to...
About to arrive are the blades. Andy has over 3,000 hours in the extra and is also displayed in over 1,500 air displays, making him one of the most advanced aerobatic display pilots in the world today. So he's leading the team now into the next maneuver, calling as blades 2 and 3 move out to the side. They're now performing a box loop. Blades 2 and 3 performing opposition stall turns, whilst blade 1 falls back and blade 4 performs a pushover. Please get your cameras ready for the next maneuver. The guys are going to fly at the crowd line at full speed, pulling up to HE in the crossfire break. Looking now to our left and right, blades 2 and 3 will perform the first pair sequence of the display. Flying in the blade 2 position today we have Ben Murphy. He's an ex-Harrier pilot and also an ex-leader of the Red Arrows. Here we have blade 3 leading the pair to perform point rolls and snap rolls before crossing in the center line. In order to perform snap rolls, the pilot stalls the aircraft and then uses a boot full of rudder to force the aircraft to roll rapidly. Here we have blade 1 and 4 flying head to head, performing synchronized aileron rolls before pulling into the vertical to 1,000 feet and cutting the throttle for silence before falling back down towards the beach. Now into the first solo performance of the display by blade 4, James McMillan. He started his career with the RNZAF as the youngest fast jet pilot. He went on to fly Harriers, Typhoons, and then Hawks with the Red Arrows. This is called the blade slide. This is a personal favorite of mine and also a great photo opportunity.
Thank you.
James will now accelerate down the line, ready for the next maneuver. He had the privilege of leading the synchro pair in the Red Arrows. Building energy here, he pulls straight up into a series of vertical rolls. At the top, he will attempt to stop and let the aircraft twist itself under the engine. This is known as a torque roll. And then he lets the aircraft fall backwards through the smoke into a tail slide. Looking out to our left now, you'll see the other 3 pilots led by blade 1. Leading the team into our crowd favorite. This is called Crazy. The team have been performing this maneuver since the beginning, 2006. I say they still have work to do on it. We've got blade 4 there rolling around the smoke of the other pilots. And the other 3 demonstrating an unnatural way to fly. Pretty cool. The blade 3 position is flown by Mike Ling. He's the longest serving Red Arrow pilot, joined us in 2018 after 21 years in the RAF, flying the Hawk and Tornado.
Coming left now.
So blade 4 just rejoining the team and setting up for the next maneuver, which is the loop to Aerobytes box bend. The team will start with a formation loop, flying just 6 feet apart. This is dedicated to our prime sponsor, Aerobytes. We're very privileged to have Aerobytes as a prime sponsor on the wing of our aircraft. We've been working with them for 8 years now. Aerobytes specializes in delivering aviation safety software, providing solutions to over 200 airlines globally.
Coming left now. Holding the bank. Now.
That's Blade 1 just giving some nice clear instructions to the guys. As they change now into tango formation, as the team approaches, you'll clearly see on their tails the red and white logo of our new sponsor for 2022. That is UASA. I think someone's having fun up there. UASA Battery is the #1 selling brand for all car types, vehicles and industrial uses. They're made by GS UASA, the world's leading battery manufacturer, who power thousands of applications worldwide, from submarines to the space station and everything in between. They are also giving away 2 seats, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to fly with us. All you have to do is Google Win a Blades Flight or UASA, spelled Y-U-A-S-A, and all of the terms and conditions are on there. If you fancy taking part, then please do. The competition closes at Bournemouth Air Festival on the 4th of September. So please do get entering. The guys are pulling up here now into the hammerhead and performing tight stall turns in perfect unison. We're entering the second half of the display now. It normally lasts for around 15 minutes and consists of over 30 exhilarating maneuvers. This maneuver is called the snake.
Somewhere, the colours on for the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows! We have 3 types of display: full, flat and rolling, and that is normally based on cloud base and viz. However, the airspace construct around Eastbourne limits us to a rolling show. So therefore the team are now bending to the right, with Red 1 collapsing the formation into 7 arrow. Red 1, the team leader is squadron leader Tom Bold. Tom is in his 2nd year as the team leader. He was previously the synchro leader in 2017, and he is also a former Typhoon pilot, a former qualified flying instructor on the Hawk T-Mark II, as well as the Tucano, and he was the Tucano display pilot in 2010. However, Eastbourne, get your cameras ready for the 7 arrow roll. As the team roll to the left, to the right-hand side of Red 1 is Red 2, Flight Lieutenant Stu Roberts. Stu is in his 1st year on the team, having previously flown Typhoon with 11 and 12 squadrons at RAF Coningsby. His opposite number on the left-hand side is Flight Lieutenant Patrick Kershaw, known as Paddy. Paddy is also in his 1st year on the team, having previously flown Tornado GR4 and also Typhoon on 11 and 12 squadrons at RAF Coningsby. The smoke comes on as Reds 2, 3, 4 and 5 move their way back in line abreast to sit just behind Red 6. The Red Arrows are based at RAF Scampton, just to the north of Lincoln. RAF Scampton was the base for the World War II famous Squadron 617, the Dambusters. Unfortunately, Scampton will close at the end of this year and the team will move to RAF Waddington. And therefore, in tribute to Scampton, its history, its squadron and its personnel, and now that F-35 is flown by 617, the Dambusters, this is the Lightning Present.
Coming left now. Holding the bank now.
As the team goes to the left-hand side, on the far right, uppermost as we look at it, is squadron leader John Bond, known as Bondy. He's in his 5th year on the team, having previously been synchro leader last year. He's also a former qualified Typhoon pilot and a qualified flying instructor on the Tucano, and he was the Tucano display pilot in 2012. The smoke comes on as Reds 4 and 5, 2 and 3 move up just to sit behind Red 1. The go call is made as Red 7 moves to the left and Red 6 moves to the right. That means all the odd numbers are now on the left-hand side and all the even numbers are on the right-hand side. Also, while Red 1 is bending the formation around to the right at 3G, making the move even more difficult. But once again, get your cameras ready for the Phoenix roll.
Rolling out. Easing up. Open. Go. And roll.
As the team roll towards us, they will be able to see all of you on the beach, so make sure you give them a massive wave. And you can also see the shape of the iconic Hawk aircraft, which has been in service with the Royal Air Force since 1976. And has been the aircraft of the Red Arrows since 1979, where it replaced the Folland Gnat. Since the closure of 100 Squadron and 7th, always trying to look and develop its capabilities. And as such, on the 1st of April 2021, the UK Space Command was formed. As the Royal Air Force acknowledges the importance of space in all military operations. And therefore, with an acknowledgement and paying respect to the importance of space in future operations, with a shape that represents the Apollo landing craft from those 1960s emissions, this is Apollo.
Holding the bank now.
Red Arrows is, of course, a military unit, and as such, we are commanded by Wing Commander David Montenegro. He is also a former team leader and synchro leader, a former Tornado F3 pilot and qualified flying instructor on the Tucano. There are 9 pilots on the team, and each must have 1,500 hours fast jet and be assessed as above average before they can join the team. The colourful and dynamic Tornado. The aboard call is made as Reds 4 and 5 roll around the smoke of the rest of the formation. Keep your eye for the colour change as Red 1 brings to the right.
Little bit right now.
As Reds 4 and 5 smoke red and blue, smoking red is Red 5 Flight Lieutenant Dave Simmons, known as Simo. He's in his 4th year on the team, having previously flown Tornado GR4, as well as Harrier and the F5 while on exchange. In tribute to her Platinum Jubilee weekend, this is the Jubilee Present.
Come on. Go. Hi.
You will see that the aircraft are flying with their air brakes out. That's a small door at the bottom of the aircraft towards the rear. This allows the pilots to fly with a higher throttle setting and therefore producing a hotter engine gas temperature at the exhaust, which makes the smoke burn a lot more brightly. As I said earlier, we are a squadron of over 120 personnel, and we are not just about the pilots. Over 100 of them are the Blues, and they are so called because of the colour of their coveralls that they wear. They are the engineers, the administrators, the ops and the public relations personnel. 10 individuals who are specially selected each year to fly in our aircraft in between displays when we cannot take the full engineering complement are the circus. One individual of that circus is Circus 10, Air Specialist 1, Abigail Druitt. She is with me at every display, filming the display for safety and debrief purposes. And she is also responsible for many and almost all of the image you see across social media. As we come to the end of the first half, you'll see that the team is now split into two. Reds 1 to 5 are now known as Enid, named after Enid Blyton's famous 5, and Reds 6 and 7 are the synchro pair, led by Red 6, the synchro leader. In the second half, you'll see fast, dynamic and high-speed head-on passes, showing the ability of the Hawks and the agility of the aircraft. Look directly to your front. Get your cameras ready for the detonator.
Still recovering. 2. A little bit hot. 6. It is. Brake, go. Go.
Red 6 and 7 breaking away from us. Red 7 smoking red and Red 6 smoking blue. They pull up using 30 degrees now up to approximately 1,000 to 1,500 feet before turning hard back to the display line. They will descend to 100 feet and have a closing speed of over 800 miles per hour, and they will perform a series of barrel rolls in a maneuver we call the double rolls. As the synchro pair leave the display line, look to your front right 45 and you can see Enid coming back in from the right hand side, smoking white. The red, white and blue come on as they perform a series of barrel rolls in the sky, leaving a snake-like smoke trail in the sky in a maneuver we call the Python. The motto of the Red Arrows is éclate, which means excellence. That means every member of the squadron is striving for excellence in everything that we do. And also we're aware that we are only guardians of that motto for 3 to 5 years, and as such we try to leave the squadron in a better place than when we joined for those joining the squadron behind us. As Enid leave the display line, keep looking to your left and to your right for the synchro pair returning back to the display area. Once again, the smoke is on. They will be heading towards each other at 100 feet and over 800 miles per hour to do a series of inverted flying. Each aircraft 4 and 5. And Reds 4 and 5 smoke blue as they perform a barrel roll round Reds 2 and 3 in the hardest maneuver for our new pilots each year to master. This is the rollbacks.
Clear. Go.
All the way along the line as Red 7 rolls the red, white and blue around the smoke of Red 6. Red 7 is Flight Lieutenant James Turner, known as JT. He is in his 3rd year on the team, having previously flown Typhoon and is a former qualified flying instructor on the Hawk T Mark 1. Keep your eyes on the synchro pair to the left-hand side as they now pull up to 5 to 6G, turning back towards the display line with Red 6 leading Red 7. Red 6, the synchro lead, is squad leader Gregor Ogston. In his 4th year on the team, having previously flown Typhoon and Harrier, as well as being a former qualified flying instructor on the Hawk T Mark II. The blue comes on, he turns hard left, look to your front right 45, and you can see Enid now in the inverted V shape. Red 6 lining the synchro pair up with the rest of the formation. Get your cameras ready for the double goose.
Power. A little bit right now.
Each aircraft is fitted with a smoke pod. That smoke pod is capable of producing 5 minutes of white smoke, 1 minute of blue smoke, and 1 minute of red smoke. And it is selected by an independent button for the red, white and blue, each colour on the pilot's control column. And therefore, every display is specially choreographed to ensure that we don't run out of the smoke at the right time in the display. Look directly to your front and you can see the synchro pair pulling up towards us. Get your cameras ready for the crowd favourite as the synchro pair split. The red smoke comes on for the synchro heart. Red 7, JT would like to dedicate today's heart to his parents-in-law, Tim and Sarah Lyle. And I would also like to dedicate today's heart to my old friend and his family, Guy and Lisa Evans, in the sky for the infinity break. But Eastbourne, it has been an honour and a pleasure. Please put your hands together for the 2022 Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows!